The smoke was sweet, hickory and pecan, the way Matilda always liked it. I turned the ribs on the rack, mopping them with the sauce from her handwritten recipe. After 45 years building homes in Austin, my body knew two things: the weight of a hammer and the rhythm of this smoker. It was Sunday. This was my ritual. The screen door slammed. My son, Russell, stepped onto the patio, not in shorts, but in pressed slacks and a golf shirt that probably cost more than my first truck. His wife, Valerie, was right behind him, phone already in hand, her thumb scrolling. "Morning, Em," Russell said. He glanced at the smoker, his nose wrinkling just a little. "Barbecue? Again?" "It's Sunday," I said, not looking up. I mopped the brisket. "Your mother loved this recipe." "Well, Valerie's vegan this month," he said, "and I'm trying to cut down on red meat, doctor's orders." Valerie didn't look up from her phone. "There's a great acai bowl place that delivers. I already ordered." "You should try it, Em. All that smoked meat is just full of carcinogens." I set the mop brush down. The smell of the sauce, molasses, tomato, a hint of pepper, filled the air. It was the smell of 40 years of family dinners. "I'll make you both a plate for later, in case you change your mind." Russell sighed, that impatient sound he'd picked up in his corporate boardrooms. He and Valerie had moved in 6 months ago. "To help me out," they said. "To keep an eye on the old man in this big house." Ever since, my house had felt less like a home and more like a hotel they were waiting to inherit. "Em, we need to talk," Russell said. He sat at the patio table, the one I built with my own hands. Valerie finally put her phone down, placing it face down on the glass. That's how I knew this was serious. "We're worried about you," Valerie started, using that soft, patronizing voice. "This place, it's just so big for one person." "I'm not one person," I said, my voice flat. "You're both here." "That's the point, Em." Russell leaned forward. "We see how much work it is. The stairs, the yard, the roof you kept meaning to check. You're 68. You're not a kid. It's a liability." I closed the lid of the smoker, the heavy steel thudding with a note of finality. "This house is not a liability, Russell. It's my home. I built it." "You built it," he conceded, "but you can't maintain it. Not anymore." Valerie and I were looking at some properties. There's a wonderful senior community over in Hill Country. Golf course, medical staff on site. "A retirement home," I said. Valerie chimed in. "We call it an assisted living community. It's beautiful. And if you sell this place now, with the Dalton neighborhood market being so hot, you'd be set for life. You'd have more money than you'd know what to do with." I looked at my son, the boy I'd taught to ride a bike on this very patio, the young man whose college I'd paid for by working 80-hour weeks. I didn't see him. I saw a stranger in an expensive shirt, calculating the value of my life's work. "The house is not for sale," I said. Russell's face hardened. The mask of concern slipped. "Don't be stubborn, Em. It's a practical decision. It's what's best for you." "What's best for me," I said, picking up my tools, "is to finish this barbecue. What's best for you, apparently, is to figure out how to spend my money before I'm even cold." I left them at the table. I went to my workshop in the garage, the one place they never entered. I sat on my stool, the smell of sawdust and oil a comfort. But it didn't last. The house I'd built to protect my family now felt like a prison I was being evicted from. If you're watching this video, tell me where you're from or what time it is for you. They didn't speak to me for the rest of the day. I ate my barbecue alone on the patio, the two empty chairs at the table a silent testament. The food tasted like ash. Later that evening, I was in the living room, trying to read the paper, but the words just swam on the page. Russell and Valerie came in from whatever expensive restaurant they'd gone to. They didn't take off their jackets. "Em, we're not doing this to hurt you," Russell began again, standing in the entryway like a prosecutor. "We're trying to help you," Valerie added, her arms crossed. "You're being incredibly selfish." I put the paper down. "Selfish, because I want to keep my own home. The home your mother and I built. The home where you were born, Russell." "Don't," he snapped. "Don't you dare use Mom against me. This isn't about her. It's about now. It's about the fact that you left the stove on last week. It was on low for 10 minutes. I was heating water for tea. And next week, you fall down the stairs. You have a stroke and no one finds you for days. Is that what you want?" Valerie's voice was sharp, all the fake softness gone. "We are offering you a dignified solution. A beautiful apartment, gourmet meals, people your own age." "I don't want people my own age," I growled. "I want my home. I want my workshop. I want the life I built." Russell stepped forward, his face inches from mine. "And what about the life I want? Valerie and I are putting our lives on hold to be here, to supervise you. We want to start our own family. We want to live in a place that isn't a 40-year-old shrine to the past. This house is an anchor, Em, and it's dragging us all down." The cruelty of it, the sheer naked greed, took my breath away. "A shrine. You call this house a shrine?" "It's a money pit," Valerie spat. "And we're not going to let you just sit on a $500,000 asset out of pure mule-headed pride. We've been more than patient. Think about our offer, Em. Really think about it. Because we are not letting this go." They turned and went upstairs. I heard their bedroom door click shut. I sat there in the dark, the grandfather clock in the hall ticking off the seconds. The silence of the house was deafening. I wasn't just a father. I was a gatekeeper. I was an obstacle. And they were done being patient. I stood up, my knees cracking, and went to my own room. I locked the door. It was the first time I'd ever locked it in my own home. Sleep was impossible. I lay in the bed I'd shared with Matilda for 40 years, staring at the shadows on the ceiling. The house was quiet, but not peaceful. It felt like the air before a thunderstorm, heavy and electric. Around 2 a.m. I heard their door open. Muffled voices. They were downstairs. I got out of bed, my old joints protesting. I didn't turn on a light. I crept to the top of the stairs. The hardwood floors I'd laid myself were my allies. I knew every board that didn't creak. Their voices drifted up from the kitchen. They were arguing. "Not going to budge, Russell. He's a stubborn old mule." That was Valerie, her voice a low, furious hiss. I know. But if we just push the sale, he could fight it. He's still legally the owner." "Then we changed that. You said you had a backup plan. You said you knew a guy." A long pause. The clink of a glass. "It's not clean, Valerie. Dr. Peterson isn't cheap, and it's a legal gray area." "I don't care if it's gray, black, or neon pink," she hissed. "Does it work? Can he get us what we need?" "He says he can. He specializes in elderly capacity assessments. He gets a judge to sign off on geriatric guardianship. He says if the family, that's us, testifies that the parent is confused, forgetful, a danger to himself, the judge will almost always side with the family. We get power of attorney. We get control of his assets. We sell the house. We move him into that nice facility. Everybody wins. My blood went cold. I gripped the banister, my knuckles white. This wasn't a disagreement. This was a coup. How fast? Valerie asked. He said, once we file the petition, he can have the assessment done in a week. The hearing would be a formality. He said, the courts don't want the liability any more than you do. He just needs our testimony. He needs us to start a log. Every time M forgets a name, every time he leaves a light on, we write it down. It's our proof. Good, Valerie said. Her voice was cold, satisfied. Start the log tomorrow. I'll call Dr. Peterson in the morning and set up a consultation. It's time to get this done, Russell. It's time to take what's ours. I heard a chair scrape. I scrambled back into my room, my heart hammering so hard I thought it would burst from my chest. I fumbled with the lock, my hands shaking, and fell back onto my bed. They weren't just trying to move me. They were trying to erase me, to paint me as a senile old fool, lock me away, and steal everything I had ever worked for. No, I whispered into the darkness. Not my house, not my life. You will not. The next morning, I was in the kitchen at 5 a.m., just like always. I made coffee. When they came down at 8, I was at the table reading the paper, same as any other day. Morning, Em, Russell said, overly cheerful. He was already writing in a small black notebook. Sleep well? Like a log, I lied, turning the page. You too? Oh, you know, Valerie said, pulling out the blender. She was all smiles. I'm going to make a smoothie. Want one? Full of antioxidants. Good for, memory. I just smiled. No, thank you, dear. I'll stick to my coffee. They watched me. Every move. When I got up to refill my mug, I saw Russell scribble in his book. Spilled coffee on counter. I'd spilled a single drop. I had to be smarter than them. I had to be faster. But I had no proof. It was my word against 2 concerned children and their corrupt doctor. I spent the day in my workshop, my mind racing. How do you fight whispers? How do you fight lies? You fight them with the truth, an undeniable recorded truth. That evening, I waited until they went out for dinner. I went to my study and opened the bottom drawer of my desk. Beneath a pile of old tax returns and blueprints, I found it. My old smartphone. The one I'd replaced last year when Russell insisted, but I'd kept it just in case. I plugged it in. The screen lit up. I sat there for an hour, relearning how it worked, downloading a simple voice-activated recording app. I tested it. It was perfect. The microphone was incredibly sensitive. That night, I didn't go to bed. I sat in the dark in my armchair, the phone in my lap, screen dark, recording app active. They came home late, around 11. They were in the living room, right below me. Peterson is in, Valerie said, her voice clear as a bell on the phone's recording. He wants $5,000 now and $5,000 after the hearing. He said he needs us to paint a picture of your father's decline. 10 grand. Jesus, Val, that's steep. It's an investment, Russell. The house is worth 400, 500K in this market. It's a rounding error. We'll make it back in a week. Now, what did you get today? He left the back door unlocked for almost an hour, and he called Mitchell Michael, and he couldn't find his keys. Excellent. That's perfect. Confused, disoriented, a security risk. Peterson will love that. We'll have him in a home by the 1st of the month. They laughed. A low, satisfied laugh that chilled me to the bone. I sat in the dark, my thumb hovering over the stop button. I had them, I had their whole rotten plan right in the palm of my hand. I had a checkup scheduled for the next week, my annual physical with Dr. Sinclair. I'd known Sam Sinclair for 20 years. He'd treated Matilda. He was a good man, an old-school doctor who listened more than he talked. I called his office first thing Monday morning. "Mary," I said to his receptionist, "it's Em Hayes. I need to move my appointment up. As soon as possible. It's important." Mary must have heard the strain in my voice. "Dr. Sinclair has a cancellation tomorrow at 10 a.m., Em. Can you make that?" "I'll be there," I said. The next 24 hours were the hardest of my life. I had to act normal. I had to smile at Valerie's healthy smoothies, which I poured down the sink. I had to nod along as Russell told me about a friend whose elderly father had a terrible fall and wished he'd moved somewhere safer. "You should think about it, Em," he'd said, patting my shoulder, his little black book peeking out of his shirt pocket. "I am, son," I said, my voice steady. "I'm thinking about it very hard." The next morning, I drove myself to Sinclair's office. I sat in the waiting room, the old phone heavy in my jacket pocket. "Emmett, good to see you," Sinclair said, greeting me in the exam room. He was a tall, thin man with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "You're looking fit. What's this urgent business? Mary said you sounded stressed." "I am, Sam. I really am." A nurse came in to take my vitals. I was a perfect 120/80. My heart rate was steady. On the outside, I was calm. Inside, a storm was raging. "All right, Em," Sinclair said after the nurse left, closing the door behind her. "It's just us. What's going on? You look like you've seen a ghost." "Worse, Sam," I said. I took a deep breath. "I think my children are trying to destroy me." I told him everything. The barbecue, the assisted living proposal, the whispers, Dr. Peterson, the little black notebook. Sinclair listened, his face growing darker with every word. He didn't interrupt. He just steepled his fingers, his gaze fixed on mine. "It's monstrous, Em," he said when I finished. "But it's also, tragically, not uncommon. But it's your word against theirs. Russell and Valerie are your family. A judge will be inclined to believe the concerned children." "I know," I said. "That's why I brought this." I took the old phone out of my pocket. I hit play on the recording from Sunday night. "Peterson is in. He wants 5,000 now. Paint a picture of your father's decline." Sinclair's face went from dark to thunderous. He listened to the entire 15-minute recording. The talk of my confusion. The log. The cold, hard math of their investment. When it was over, he sat in silence for a long moment. He took off his glasses and rubbed the bridge of his nose. "Sam," I asked. He put his glasses back on. His eyes were hard. "This isn't just a family dispute, Em. This is conspiracy to commit fraud. This is elder abuse, plain and simple. That Dr. Peterson, I think I've heard his name. A hired gun. He gives judges what they want. An easy, clean solution for a problem parent." He stood up and walked to his desk. "We are not going to let this happen. We are going to fight. And we are going to win. But we have to be smarter than them. We need to build a fortress." "A fortress? I just want to keep my house." "A legal and medical fortress," Sinclair corrected. "Your concerned children say you're losing your mind. They say you're incompetent." He pulled a thick stack of papers from a drawer. "We," he said, tapping the stack, "are going to prove that you are sharper, clearer, and more competent than any 68-year-old in Austin." "What is that?" I asked, looking at the stack of papers. "This," Sinclair said, is a full neuropsychological evaluation. It's not a chat. It's not a wellness check. It's a 3-hour, comprehensive, standardized battery of tests. It measures memory, executive function, reasoning, abstract thought, and decision-making capacity. He looked at his watch. I'm clearing my afternoon. My 1 o'clock can wait. We're doing this. Right now. For the next 3 hours, I was back in school. He put me through the ringer. I had to repeat lists of numbers backward and forward. I had to identify patterns. I had to draw complex geometric shapes from memory. I had to read a story and then answer detailed questions about the character's motivations. I had to answer questions about the date, the year, the current president, the mayor of Austin. I had to explain complex proverbs. What does a rolling stone gathers no moss mean to you? It means, I said, that someone who's always moving, never setting down roots, never builds any real value, never builds a home. Sam Sinclair just nodded, a small smile on his face, and made a note. When it was finally over, my brain felt like I'd just run a marathon. He scored the tests right there in front of me. M, he said, looking up. This is remarkable. Your short-term memory is in the 90th percentile for your age. Your executive function is in the 95th. You are, by every medical metric, not just competent. You are exceptionally sharp. You have the cognitive profile of a man 20 years younger. He swiveled in his chair and started typing. I watched him draft the report. It wasn't just a summary. It was a 10-page, detailed, data-filled, ironclad medical document. He printed it, signed it with a flourish, and then walked to a cabinet and pulled out a notary stamp. He stamped every single page. This, he said, handing me the stack, is your shield. This document, dated today, proves you are perfectly sane. When they bring in their paid-for quack, your lawyer will tear him to shreds with this. My hands were shaking as I took it. My lawyer? My lawyer, he corrected. You're going to need one. Not just any lawyer. The best. Her name is Melanie Jacobs. She specializes in elder law and financial abuse. She eats people like your son for breakfast. He wrote a name and number on his card. Call her. Tell her I sent you. Tell her it's a code red. She'll know what it means. I left his office with 2 things I didn't have when I walked in: a 10-page medical affidavit and a fighting chance. I drove home, the affidavit a heavy weight on the passenger seat. I felt strong. I had proof. I had a plan. I had the recordings. I walked in the back door. The house was quiet. Russell and Valerie were at the club, according to a note on the counter. I went straight to my study. I locked the door. I put the affidavit in my safe, behind the blueprints for the house. Then I took out the old phone, my golden ticket. I needed to back up the recordings, get them onto a computer, make copies. The screen was dark. I pressed the power button. Nothing. Come on, I muttered, holding it down. The battery must be dead. I plugged it into the charger. The screen flickered to life. It showed a welcome screen, the kind you see on a brand new phone. It was asking me to select a language. My blood turned to ice. No. I frantically tapped the screen. I skipped the setup. The home screen was empty. The recording app was gone. The photo gallery was empty. Everything. It was all gone. I ran into the kitchen. I saw Valerie's laptop on the counter. Next to it was the phone's charging cable. She'd found it. I stood there, my mind reeling. Did she know what was on it? Did she listen to it? Just then, the front door opened. Valerie came in, breezy, in her tennis whites. "Oh, Em," she said, smiling brightly. "You're home. I found that old phone of yours in your study. It was just sitting there plugged in. I was trying to be helpful." My voice was a dry croak. Helpful? How? Well, it was so full of junk, and the battery was draining so fast. I figured it was all just old cache files and, you know, viruses. She smiled, proud of herself. "So I did you a favor. I plugged it into my laptop, backed up your contacts. There were only 3, and then did a full factory reset. It's like brand new again, clean as a whistle." She beamed at me. "I'm just trying to help you organize your life, Em. Get rid of all the old, useless clutter." I looked at her, at that bright, false, innocent smile. She had no idea. She'd just destroyed my entire case out of sheer, careless stupidity. She thought she was helping. Or was she that good an actress? Did Russell see it? Did they listen, panic, and erase it? No. That smile, that genuine, idiotic pride. She had no idea. She had just accidentally, thoughtlessly, and completely disarmed me. I just stared at her. All my proof, all my leverage, gone. Wiped clean by a helpful factory reset. I nodded slowly. I couldn't speak. I just took the clean phone from her hand, turned, and walked back to my study, locking the door behind me. I sank into my chair. The silence was absolute. I had nothing. The recordings were the core of my case. They were the undeniable proof of conspiracy. Without them, what did I have? The word of an old man. I pulled the affidavit from the safe. It was good. It was strong. But it was defensive. It was reactive. It was me proving. I wasn't crazy. The recordings, they were offensive. They were the sword. They were the proof that they were the ones who were corrupt. I'd lost my sword. I immediately called Melanie Jacobs. I explained who I was, that Dr. Sinclair had sent me, that it was a code red. "Dr. Sinclair's code reds get my full attention," she said. Her voice was no nonsense, clipped and fast. "What's the situation?" I told her everything. The house, the son, the daughter-in-law, the corrupt doctor, the affidavit. "Good. Sinclair's reports are airtight. We can use that," she said. "But there's more," I said, my voice breaking. "I had recordings, audio, of them planning it all, naming the doctor, talking about the money, everything." "That's not just good, Mr. Hayes. That's a silver bullet. Where are they?" "Gone. Wiped. My daughter-in-law, she did a factory reset on the phone. Thought she was helping." There was a long, heavy silence on the other end of the line. "Mr. Hayes, Emmett," she said, her voice softer now but still firm. "This is bad. You understand this, right? This is very, very bad. I know. Without those recordings, it's a he said, she said case. Your word against your son's. And judges hate tearing families apart. They will default to the path of least resistance, which is usually guardianship for the confused parent. So what do I do? I felt a despair so deep it threatened to swallow me. "You're not beaten yet," she said, her voice hardening again. "We still have Sinclair's report. That's our shield. But we've lost our sword. Our case just got 10 times harder, and 1,000 times more expensive." She paused. "I need to see you. First thing tomorrow. My office. 8 a.m. Bring the affidavit and Emmett. From now on, you don't say anything to them. You are a ghost in that house. Don't write anything down. Don't use your computer for anything but weather. Assume they are listening to everything. We've lost the initiative. Now we have to wait for them to make the next move. and we have to be ready to catch it. I hung up the phone. I was back to square one. Worse. Because now they were moving, and I was empty-handed. I was a target, just waiting for the arrow. I met Melanie Jacobs at 8 a.m. Her office was downtown, a sleek modern affair of glass and steel. She was exactly as her voice suggested, sharp, dressed in a perfectly tailored suit, and with eyes that seemed to see right through me. "Emmett," she said, shaking my hand. "We have a problem. Let's fix it." We spent 2 hours. We went over Sinclair's report. She was impressed. "This is a tank," she said, tapping the pages. "They can't get through this. But it's still a shield. They can still lay siege." "What does that mean?" "It means they'll file for an emergency guardianship. They'll claim you're a danger to yourself. They'll bring in their quack, Dr. Peterson. He'll say you're senile. We'll present Sinclair's report. The judge will be confused. He'll see 2 doctors disagreeing. He'll say, 'I'm not a doctor. I need an independent evaluation.' And he'll appoint a 3rd doctor, a court-appointed expert. And that, Emmett, is a coin flip. It's 50-50. I don't like those odds." "So, what odds do you like?" I asked. 100-0, she said, without a trace of a smile. "We can't win by defending. We have to win by attacking. You said they were planning this. They're still planning it. You've lost your recordings, but you haven't lost your ears." Her words echoed in my head as I drove home. You haven't lost your ears. That night, I didn't hide in my room. I sat in the living room, pretending to read, just as she'd told me. A ghost. They ignored me. They talked around me. But they were more careful. They used whispers. They went outside to take calls. The little black book was always with Russell. It went on like this for 3 days. A cold war in my own home. Then, on Friday night, they got sloppy. They thought I was asleep. I'd gone upstairs at 9 p.m. as usual, but I'd crept back down. I wasn't going to miss it this time. I sat on the bottom stair, in the dark. They were in the dining room, and they weren't alone. "The Peterson plan is dead," Russell was saying. His voice was tight with frustration. "He got spooked. Someone in Sinclair's office must have... I don't know. He's not returning our calls." "So Peterson is out," Valerie said. "Who cares? This new plan is better. Faster." A new voice. A woman's. Smooth, confident, and cold as ice. "It is, Mrs. Hayes. Dr. Peterson is a blunt instrument. I'm a surgeon. My evaluations are nuanced. They're much harder to fight." "And you're sure you can get it done?" Russell asked. "Mr. Hayes," the woman said, "I've reviewed the log you and your wife have been keeping. The forgetfulness, the confusion, the emotional outbursts. It's a classic portrait of senile dementia. I'll be in and out before he even knows what's happening." Another voice. A man I didn't recognize. "This feels... I don't know, Val. It feels wrong." "Milo, shut up," Valerie snapped. "You're just here as a witness, a concerned family friend. Just nod and agree with Dr. Sullivan. That's all you have to do." Dr. Sullivan. A new name, a new expert. "So what's the plan?" Russell asked. "The plan," Dr. Sullivan said, "is simple. I arrive tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. sharp. You and your wife will be out. Running errands. Your cousin Milo will be here, just visiting. I'll introduce myself as a friend of Valerie's, a psychologist, just stopping by to say hello. We'll chat. I'll guide the conversation. I'll ask him about his wife. I'll ask him about the past. I'll get him confused, emotional. He'll contradict himself. Milo will witness it all. By the time I leave, I'll have a full report documenting his disorientation and cognitive decline. We file it Monday, emergency hearing by Wednesday. You'll have guardianship by Friday. I sat on the step, my blood frozen. It was happening. Tomorrow. I looked through the banister. I could just see the dining room table, Russell, Valerie, a sharp-dressed woman I assumed was Sullivan, and a younger man, fidgeting, Milo, Valerie's cousin. He looked pale, he looked sick, he was my only hope. I didn't move for an hour. I waited until I heard the front door close, until I heard Russell and Valerie lock up and go upstairs. I crept back to my room and grabbed my phone. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely dial. "Jacobs," she answered on the first ring. It was almost midnight. "It's Emmett Hayes. It's happening. Tomorrow." I relayed the entire conversation. The new doctor, Sullivan, Milo, the 11 a.m. ambush. "Good," she said. "Good? How is this good?" "It's good because we know the plan. We know the time, the place, and the players. They've just handed us the rope. Now we're going to let them hang themselves." "What do we do?" "Nothing," she said. "You do nothing. You wake up tomorrow. You make your coffee. You act like the confused old man they think you are. Be charming. Be forgetful. Talk to this Dr. Sullivan. Answer her questions. Be the perfect victim." "And you?" I asked. "Me? I'm going to be busy. I have a new name. Dr. Sullivan. I'm going to spend the next 8 hours finding out everything there is to know about her." I hung up, but I didn't sleep. I just sat and waited for the dawn. The next morning, Melanie called me at 9 a.m. "I've got her," she said. Her voice was electric. "Dr. Sonia Sullivan. She's not just a hired gun, Em. She's practically a criminal. She has 2 active investigations against her in other states for, get this, undue influence and fraudulent capacity assessments. She's a predator." So what does this mean? It means she's sloppy, and she's arrogant, and she's about to walk into a trap. A trap? Just then, Melanie said, "My other line is ringing. Call you back." She hung up. The house was empty. Russell and Valerie had left at 10 a.m., just as planned. "Errands, Em, back by lunch." At 10:15, my phone rang again. It was Melanie. "Okay," she said. "This just got very, very interesting. I got an anonymous call. A man. He sounded nervous. He said, 'I'm a friend of M's. You're his lawyer. Dr. Sullivan is a fraud. Her license number is 882150. She's walking into a trap.'" And then he hung up. Milo. It had to be Milo. "He was right," Melanie continued. "I ran the license number. It's her. And she's not just under investigation. She has a formal hearing with the state board next month. If one more complaint lands, she's not just disbarred. She's facing jail time." "So, what's the trap he was talking about?" I asked. "We are the trap," she said. "He thinks she's walking into our trap. He doesn't know we were planning one of our own. He just gave us the final piece of the puzzle." "I don't understand." "Em, I'm not just coming over. I'm bringing friends. My associate, a certified court stenographer, and Mr. Jennings, our firm's senior notary public. We are going to let Dr. Sullivan conduct her entire fraudulent, manipulative evaluation, and the stenographer is going to take down every single word. Under oath." "Under oath?" "Oh, yes," Melanie said. I could hear the smile in her voice. "We're turning your living room into a legal deposition, and Dr. Sullivan is our star witness. Now you just sit tight. We're 10 minutes out." I sat in my living room. My hands were on my knees. I was watching the clock. 10:45 a.m. A car pulled into the driveway. Not a sedan, but a large black SUV. Melanie Jacobs got out, all business in a dark gray suit. Behind her, a man with a briefcase, Mr. Jennings, the notary, and a younger woman carrying a strange, small machine. The stenographer. I opened the front door. "Emmett," Melanie said. "These are my associates. They'll be observing." "Observing what?" a voice called out. Valerie's cousin, Milo, was standing on the porch. He looked like he hadn't slept. I was just coming to visit," he said, looking at Melanie, then at me. "Who are you people?" "I'm Melanie Jacobs," she said, handing him a card. "I'm Mr. Hayes' attorney. And you are?" "Milo. A friend." "A friend," Melanie repeated. "Good. Then you'll be happy to act as a witness." "Witness to what?" "To a legal consultation." Melanie ushered us all inside. "Please," she said to Milo, "sit. You're part of this now." Milo looked like he was going to be sick. He sat on the edge of the sofa. The stenographer set up her machine at the coffee table. Mr. Jennings sat in my armchair. Melanie stood by the fireplace. What is going on?" Milo stammered. "Mr. Hayes is about to be the victim of a fraudulent medical assessment," Melanie said calmly. "An attempt to declare him incompetent so his assets can be seized." Milo went white. I don't know anything about that." "You don't?" Melanie said. "That's a shame, because the man who called my office an hour ago, he sounded like he knew a lot." Milo's eyes shot to me. He opened his mouth. The doorbell rang. 11 a.m. on the dot. "Showtime," Melanie whispered. She nodded to me. I opened the door. She was exactly as I'd pictured. Expensive suit, perfect hair, a smile that didn't reach her eyes, and a leather briefcase. "Mr. Hayes?" she said, her voice like honey. "Elijah Hayes?" "It's Emmett," I said. "M." "Oh, of course. Emmett, I'm Dr. Sonia Sullivan. I'm a dear friend of Valerie's. She's mentioned you so many times. I was in the neighborhood and just had to stop by. I hope I'm not intruding?" "Not at all," I said, swinging the door open wide. "Please, come in. We're just having a little meeting." Her smile faltered for a fraction of a second as she stepped into the living room. She saw Melanie, she saw the notary, and she saw the stenographer, whose fingers were already flying. "Oh," Sullivan said, stopping dead. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you had company." "Dr. Sullivan," Melanie said, stepping forward, her hand outstretched. "How wonderful. We were hoping you'd be punctual. I'm Melanie Jacobs. I'm Mr. Hayes' counsel." Sullivan didn't take her hand. Her eyes darted from the stenographer to Milo, who looked like he was trying to merge with the sofa cushions. I think there's been a misunderstanding," Sullivan said, her voice losing its honeyed tone. "I'm just here for a social call." "A social call," Melanie repeated. "Wonderful. Then you won't mind that my associate, Ms. Bishop, is a certified court stenographer who is creating a legal transcript of this social call." Sullivan's face went pale. "A transcript? That's highly irregular." "Is it?" Melanie said. "And Mr. Jennings here is a notary public, here to witness and certify all signatures. And you, I believe, are Dr. Sonia Sullivan, license number 882150, currently under investigation by the State Medical Board for fraudulent capacity assessments?" Sullivan's briefcase hit the floor with a heavy thud. "This meeting is over," Sullivan snapped, grabbing for her bag. "Oh, I don't think so," Melanie said. "I am leaving," Sullivan said, her voice shaking with rage. "You have no right to detain me." I'm not detaining you, doctor, Melanie said, her voice calm and level. I'm deposing you. As of 11:02 a.m., this is a formal, legally binding deposition. You are here in this house in a premeditated attempt to commit fraud against my client. My associate is recording your refusal to cooperate. You can't depose me. I'm not under oath. You will be. Melanie nodded to Mr. Jennings. The notary stood up. Dr. Sullivan, please raise your right hand. This is insane, she shrieked. She looked at Milo. Milo, tell them. We're friends. I'm a friend of Valerie's. Milo looked at her, then at me, then at Melanie. He swallowed hard. I've never seen this woman before in my life. You traitor, Sullivan screamed. Doctor, Melanie cut in. You have two choices. You can sit down, answer my questions under oath, and we can discuss the terms of your mistake in a civilized manner. Or you can walk out that door. And if you do, this entire transcript, including your refusal to testify, will be hand-delivered to the DA's office and the State Medical Board by noon, along with a new, formal complaint for conspiracy to commit elder fraud. Sullivan looked at the door. She looked at Melanie. She looked at the stenographer whose fingers had not stopped moving. She was a predator, yes, but she was also a cornered animal, and she was smart enough to know when the trap had snapped shut. She visibly deflated. The anger was replaced by a cold, reptilian fear. What? What do you want? She whispered. I want, Melanie said, pointing to the armchair, you to sit down, and I want you to tell us everything, starting with who hired you and how much they paid you to destroy my client's life. Dr. Sullivan sat. For the next hour, Melanie dismantled her. It wasn't a conversation. It was a surgical dissection. Dr. Sullivan, were you retained by Russell and Valerie Hayes? I was contacted for a consultation. A consultation? And were you paid for this consultation? I received a retainer. A retainer. For a social visit? How much? That's confidential. Is it? Melanie held up a piece of paper. Or is it $10,000? 5 now. 5 after you successfully had Mr. Hayes declared incompetent, as you discussed in this very house last night. Sullivan's head snapped up. Her eyes went to Milo. His name is Milo, Melanie said. He's Valerie's cousin, and he's already given us a full statement. Milo looked like he was going to faint, but he nodded. This is entrapment, Sullivan said. This, Melanie countered, is a confession. Ms. Bishop, did you get that? The doctor admits she was paid $10,000 to successfully have Mr. Hayes declared incompetent. Thank you, doctor. You've just confirmed conspiracy. Sullivan's face crumpled. She knew she was beaten. What? What happens now? She asked, her voice small. Now, Melanie said, you are going to write a check. You are going to return every penny of that retainer. You are going to sign a legally binding affidavit prepared by Mr. Jennings, stating that you were hired by Russell and Valerie Hayes to produce a fraudulent medical assessment. You are going to state, for the record, that you never even examined Mr. Hayes. And then, you are going to surrender your medical license. Voluntarily. Today. I can't do that. You can, and you will. Or we proceed with criminal charges. Your choice. But you have about 30 seconds to make it. Sullivan stared at the floor. The only sound was the stenographer's machine. All right, she whispered. I'll sign. I thought you might, Melanie said. She nodded to Mr. Jennings, who pulled a pre-printed document from his briefcase. We took the liberty of drafting it for you. While Sullivan signed her career away, Melanie looked at me. "Em, call your son." I pulled out my phone. I dialed Russell's number. He answered on the third ring, his voice breezy. "Hey, Em, everything okay? We're just grabbing lunch." "I'm fine, Russell," I said. "I'm here with my attorney, Melanie Jacobs. She has some people she wants you to meet. I'm putting you on speakerphone." I hit the button. "Russell, can you hear me?" Melanie's voice cut through the air like a razor. "Melanie Jacobs? I don't... Who?" "I'm your father's attorney, and I'm currently sitting in his living room with a notary, a court stenographer, and... Oh, let's call her a guest. A Dr. Sonia Sullivan. Does that name ring a bell?" The silence on the other end was deafening. "Russell, are you there?" What is this?" he stammered. "This, Russell, is a legal deposition. Dr. Sullivan has just provided us with a full notarized confession about your arrangement, the $10,000 retainer, the plan to fraudulently declare your father incompetent, the whole sordid mess. Valerie, we were just concerned." "You'll have plenty of time to explain your concern to a judge," Melanie said. "A criminal complaint is being filed as we speak. Conspiracy to commit fraud. Financial elder abuse. You and your wife are named as co-conspirators." "Criminal?" His voice was a squeak. "Emmett," Melanie said, turning to me. "Do you have anything you'd like to say to your son?" I took the phone. I looked at the front door, the one I'd built. I looked at the walls I'd raised. "Russell," I said, my voice steady and cold. "You have 2 hours. You and Valerie. Get your things. I want you out of my house. If you are here when I get back, I will have you arrested for trespassing." Dad, you can't. Where will we go?" "I don't care," I said. "You have 2 hours." I hung up the phone. Dr. Sullivan was gone. Milo had slipped out after her. The legal team was packing up. "What now?" I asked Melanie. "Now," she said, zipping her briefcase. "You go for a drive. Go to the park. Go visit Sinclair. Be gone for at least 2 hours. When you come back, change your locks. My office is sending a locksmith. He'll be here in 20 minutes. She paused at the door. "You did well, Em. You're a hell of a fighter." "I'm a builder," I said. "I'm just protecting what I built." I drove. I didn't know where. I ended up at the park overlooking the river, the one Matilda and I used to walk in. I sat on a bench for 2 hours. I didn't think. I just watched the water. When I got home, there was a locksmith's van in the driveway. He was just finishing. He handed me a new set of keys. The house was silent. I walked through it. Their room was empty. They'd taken their clothes, their laptops, their expensive blender. They'd even taken the healthy smoothie mix. They'd left in a hurry. A drawer was half open. A sock was left on the floor. I closed the drawer. I picked up the sock and threw it in the trash. The silence was different now. It wasn't an empty, lonely silence. It was a clean silence. It was my silence. I sat at my kitchen table, and for the first time in 40 years, I didn't know what to do next. I had to tell the others. I called Claire first, my daughter, the nurse in Chicago. She was always the sensitive one. "Dad, hi, what's up?" Her voice was cheerful. I told her everything: the barbecue, the recordings, the factory reset, Dr. Sullivan, the eviction. She didn't speak. All I heard was her breathing, then a small, choked sob. "Claire? Honey, are you there?" I'm here, Dad," she whispered. Oh my God, I'm getting on a plane. I'll be there tonight." "You don't have to." I do, she said, her voice suddenly fierce. I'm coming home. We have to. Oh, Dad. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry we left you alone with them. It's not your fault, baby girl, I said, my own voice thick. I'll be there by 10. Don't. Just sit tight. I love you. I hung up. One more call to make. I called Mitchell, my youngest, the free spirit in Austin, always chasing a dream, but he never, not once, forgot to call me on a Sunday. I told him the same story. His reaction was different. No tears, just a cold, hard silence. Dad, he said finally. His voice was low. Is Russell still in town? I assume so, son. Why? Because I'm going to fly in, and I'm going to break his damn neck. No, Mitchell, I said. You are not. That's what he wants. That's what they do. They fight dirty. We don't. We fight smart. But Dad, to do that to you, after everything, I'm fine, son. I'm fine. The house is quiet. The house is mine. I'm coming, Dad. This weekend, Claire and I, we'll be there. We'll handle this. You're not alone. Do you hear me? You are not alone. I hung up the phone and sat at my table, and for the first time in 6 months, I cried. Not from fear, not from anger, from relief. Claire arrived late that night. She just held me at the door for 5 minutes. We didn't talk. We just stood there. She spent the night in her old room. For the next few days, we just existed. We cleaned the house. We put the furniture back where Matilda and I had always kept it. We cooked her recipes. We talked about everything but Russell. It was like cleaning a wound. Mitchell arrived on Friday. He gave me a bear hug that nearly cracked a rib. You look good, Dad, he said. Like you've been in a fight. I have, I said. That Saturday, the three of us were on the patio. I was at the smoker. It felt right again. Then, the mail came. Claire brought it out. Bills, junk. Oh, what's this? It was a certified letter, from a law firm I'd never heard of. I wiped my hands and opened it. My fight, it seemed, wasn't over. What is it, Dad? Mitchell asked, seeing my face. It's a lawsuit, I said, my voice numb. Russell is suing me. He's what? Claire grabbed the papers. She read them aloud, her voice shaking with rage. He's suing for wrongful eviction. He's claiming he had a verbal contract to live here. Oh God, he's demanding $50,000 for services rendered as my caregiver. Caregiver! Mitchell exploded, grabbing the paper. That son of a... I'll kill him! No, I said, taking the papers from his hand. I looked at the legal jargon, the lies, the sheer, breathtaking audacity of it. I wasn't angry. I wasn't hurt. I was done. I went inside. I picked up the phone. I called Melanie Jacobs. Melanie, I said. It's Em. He's suing me. I heard her sigh. Of course he is. It's the last move of a desperate man. Frivolous. We'll get it thrown out. No, I said. No? We're not getting it thrown out. We're not defending. You told me you like 100-0 odds. You told me we win by attacking. I did, she said, her voice curious. This, I said, looking at the lawsuit. This isn't a lawsuit. It's a gift. He just handed us the rope again. But this time, I'm not just hanging him. I'm building the gallows. Emmett, what do you have in mind? I'm a builder, Melanie. I'm 68 years old. It's time I started planning my legacy. I don't want to just win a lawsuit, Melanie, I said into the phone. I want to end this. Forever. I want to protect my assets, my home, and my dignity in that order. I'm listening, she said. I'm a carpenter. a contractor. My entire life has been about building things that last, things with strong foundations. I need my legacy to have a strong foundation, one that my son, that Russell, cannot tear down. Not now, not after I'm gone. I took a deep breath. The idea had been forming ever since I'd gotten the letter, a blueprint in my mind. I want to change my will, I said. Ironclad, airtight. That's standard. We can do that, she said. No, I said. Not standard. I want clauses. I want it to be a work of art, a legal masterpiece. I want it to be so sharp it cuts. I like sharp, Melanie said. And I want to do something with the house. It's the house they're after, the money, the $500,000 asset. As long as I own it, as long as it's part of my estate, it's a target. It's blood in the water. I want to take the target off my back. You want to sell it? No, I said. I'm never leaving this house. Matilda and we're staying here. But what if I didn't own it? What if I gave it away? There was a long pause on her end. I could hear her thinking, the legal gears turning. An irrevocable trust? She mused. A life estate. Emmett, that's brilliant. It's advanced. It's clean. I want to do more than that, I said. I looked at the picture of Matilda on the wall. I don't just want to protect it. I want to use it. This whole nightmare. It can't be for nothing. What happened to me? It must happen to other people. People who don't have a Sam Sinclair. People who don't have a Melanie Jacobs. It does, Em, she said, her voice soft. Every single day. Then that's what we do, I said, the plan finally clicking into place, solid as a steel girder. We're going to create a foundation, in Matilda's name, and we're going to use my house, my asset, to fund it. We're going to help those people. We're going to use what they tried to do to me, to stop them from doing it to anyone else. Another silence. This one was different. It was respect. Emmett, Melanie said, that is the most brilliant, vicious, and beautiful piece of legal strategy I have ever heard. I'll have the paperwork drawn up by Monday. Can you, Claire and Mitchell, be in my office? We'll need witnesses. We'll be there, I said. And Melanie, send a copy of everything to my son's new lawyer. We met in her conference room, high above Austin, the city I'd helped build spread out below us. Claire sat on my right, Mitchell on my left. Mr. Jennings, the notary, was at the head of the table. All right, Melanie said, let's start with the will. She passed copies to all of us. This is your new and final last will and testament. It is specific. She walked us through it. Point 1. The estate. What's left of your savings, your investments, your tools, everything except the house, which we'll get to. It is to be divided into 3 equal shares. 1 for me, 1 for Mitchell, 1 for Russell, Claire murmured, reading. Exactly, Melanie said. But read the fine print. Page 2, Article 3, the Russell Clause. I'd helped her write it. It was my masterpiece. The 1/3 share for my son, Russell Hayes, Mitchell read aloud, his voice hardening, is contingent. It is contingent upon 1, the immediate and permanent withdrawal of his frivolous lawsuit, and 2, a full repayment to the estate in the amount of $50,000 for the caregiving services he fraudulently claimed. So, Claire said, if he doesn't drop the suit and pay back the $50,000 he's suing for, then, Melanie said, we turn to Article 4, the default clause. His 1/3 share is forfeited. It is not redistributed. It is donated in its entirety to the Matilda Hayes Foundation. He gets nothing. But what if he challenges it? Mitchell asked. What if he gets some shark lawyer and tries to break the will? Ah, Melanie smiled. My favorite part. Page 3, Article 5. The in terrorem clause. Latin, it means in fear. I read this one. Should any heir, beneficiary, or individual challenge this will, contest its findings, or bring any legal action against my estate, their share, and the share of all their descendants, is immediately and irrevocably voided. Their portion will be donated to the Matilda Hayes Foundation. Mitchell let out a low whistle. So, if Russell fights, he loses. And if he doesn't fight, he still loses, unless he pays $50,000. It's a box, Claire said, a slow smile spreading across her face. A perfect legal box. Dad, you're a genius. I'm a carpenter, I said. I just built a good, strong fence. Mr. Jennings cleared his throat. If you're all satisfied, Mr. Hayes, please sign here. I took the pen. I signed my name. Claire and Mitchell signed as witnesses. Mr. Jennings stamped it. It's done, he said. This is as airtight as a will gets. And now, Melanie said, sliding a second, much thicker stack of documents across the table. At Part 2, the shield becomes a sword. She held up the cover page. The Articles of Incorporation for the Matilda Hayes Foundation, a non-profit 501c3 charitable organization. Its mission, she read, is to provide pro bono legal services, advocacy, and financial counsel to elderly residents of Texas who are facing financial abuse, fraudulent claims of incapacity, or predatory actions from family members or caregivers. Claire's hand went to her mouth. Dad, its founding donation, Melanie continued, is a single significant asset, a property valued at $420,000. My house, I said. Your house, she confirmed. You are, as of this moment, donating your home free and clear to the foundation. It is no longer your asset. It can no longer be part of your estate. It cannot be sued for. It cannot be inherited. It cannot be sold. But where will you live, Dad? Mitchell asked, confused. Read the next part, I said, pointing. Ah, Melanie said. The Life Estate Clause. The Foundation, as its first act, grants its founder, Emmett Hayes, a life estate. You have the 100% legal, ironclad right to live in that house, maintain it, and treat it as your own for the rest of your natural life. You pay no rent. The foundation will even pay for the property taxes and insurance out of its, well, future donations. But the moment you pass, the house belongs to the foundation, to be used as its headquarters or sold to fund its mission as its board of directors sees fit. And who, Claire asked, is the board of directors? For now, Melanie said. Me, as legal counsel, you, Claire, as a medical professional, you, Mitchell, as well, you're the son, and Emmett, as chairman. A majority vote is required for all decisions. So, Mitchell said, the pieces clicking, the house is safe, forever. Russell can't touch it. He can't even look at it. Exactly, I said. Mr. Hayes, Mr. Jennings said, holding out the pen. If you'll do the honors. I signed the deed. I signed the donation papers. I signed the Articles of Incorporation. I gave away my house, and in doing so, I'd saved it. I walked out of that office feeling 10 pounds lighter. The sun seemed brighter. The air felt cleaner. What now, Dad? Claire asked as we stood by the truck. Now, I said, we go home. When I walked in the front door, it was different. It was the first time in 40 years that I'd walked into a house I didn't technically own. But it had never felt more mine. The weight of it, the asset, the $500,000 burden, it was gone. It was no longer a prize to be fought over. It was no longer a target on my back. It was a fortress. It was a legacy. Claire and Mitchell stayed for the rest of the week. We didn't talk about Russell. We talked about Matilda. We went through old photo albums. We laughed. Mitchell told me about the girl he was dating in Austin. Claire told me about a new program at her hospital. We were a family, the three of us. We were a new kind of family, forged in the fire. The following Monday, Melanie called me. The package was delivered, she said. And I got a call about 10 minutes later. From Russell's lawyer. A man named, I don't know, I've already forgotten, some bottom feeder. What did he say? He screamed, a lot. He called it unethical. He called it manipulation. He called it torturous interference. He threatened to sue me, you, the state bar, and the city of Austin. And what did you say? I said, Melanie said, and I could hear the smile, that he was welcome to try, and that torturous interference isn't a real thing. And that if he did file, I would personally make sure his frivolous and vexatious motion was reported to the ethics board. I also informed him that our criminal complaint for conspiracy and fraud was still very much active. And what did he say then? He said, I have to call my client, and hung up. We both laughed. Checkmate, I said. Checkmate, she agreed. It took less than 24 hours. The next morning, a FedEx package arrived. Not from Russell, from his lawyer. Inside, there was one document. A notice of withdrawal, Russell's lawsuit. Officially, unconditionally, and permanently withdrawn. No note, no letter, just a signature. I looked at the paper. It was over. I hadn't just won. I'd annihilated him. I'd taken his every move, every threat, and turned it against him. He'd come at me with a $50,000 lawsuit. And in response, I'd cost him his entire inheritance, his family home, and his dignity. I'd left him with nothing. Just a $50,000 bill he'd have to pay if he ever wanted to even be considered for forgiveness. I put the paper on the kitchen table. I went out to the patio. I sat in my chair. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel triumphant. I just felt quiet. The war was over, and all I could see was the cost. Claire found me on the patio an hour later. She saw the withdrawal notice on the table. She just came over and put her hand on my shoulder. It's done, Dad, she said softly. It's done, I agreed. He's my brother, Dad, but God, he's a fool. He's a fool, I said. But he's still your brother. She sat with me for a while. So, she said, this foundation, it's real? It's real, the paperwork is filed. But it has no money. It just has a house it can't sell until, you know. It'll get money, I said. It will, she said, reaching into her purse. She pulled out her checkbook. Claire, no. You don't have to. I know, she said. She wrote a check, her hand firm, and tore it out. She slid it across the table. It's for $10,000, she said. My services as a nurse. I've been saving it for a vacation. I think this is a better investment. I looked at the check. To the Matilda Hayes Foundation. I looked at my daughter, her eyes so like her mother's. I want to be a part of it, Dad, she said, her voice thick. Not just on the board. I want to do it. The intake, the vetting. I'm a nurse. I see this. I see families pushing for comfort care when it's just inheritance care. I can help. I was hoping you'd say that, I said. I was thinking, when I'm gone, the foundation will need a new director, a new chairwoman. She smiled, tears welling in her eyes. I'd be honored, Dad. I'd be so honored. 6 months. The house was alive again. The Matilda Hayes Foundation was real. With Claire's donation, we'd hired Melanie's firm on a small retainer. We'd put up a simple website. We'd printed brochures and left them at senior centers and hospitals. The calls came, slowly at first, then all at once. A woman whose son had borrowed her credit cards and maxed them out. We got her a fraud alert and a new locked account. A man whose grandkids were trying to sell his farm. We used my life estate model and locked the property into a trust. We'd helped 12 families, 12 people who were right where I had been, scared, alone, and feeling like the world was against them. And I was here. I was 68, and I was on fire. I had a purpose. Then the other calls came. Dad? It was Claire. Are you sitting down? Should I be? I'm pregnant. I dropped the phone. I fumbled to pick it up. What? I'm pregnant, she laughed. You're going to be a grandfather. I sat down. I couldn't speak. And Dad, if it's a girl, we want to name her Matilda. I wept. I'm not ashamed to say it. I sat in my kitchen, a 68-year-old man, and I wept like a baby. 2 days later, Mitchell called. Dad, big news. Claire already told me, son. I'm just... Claire? Told you what? No, my news. I'm getting married. Her name is Sarah. You'll love her. And we want to do it in Austin. We were thinking, if it's okay, we'd love to have the ceremony in the backyard, right by the smoker. The backyard. I looked out the window. Son, nothing would make me happier. A wedding, a baby, life. It was all happening. The house was going to be full of life again. Then, the letter came. It was a simple white envelope. The return address was a P.O. box in a different part of town. The handwriting was his. I let it sit on the counter for a full day. The next morning, I made my coffee and took it out to the patio. I opened it. My hands weren't shaking. Dad, it began. I don't know if you'll read this. I don't deserve it if you do. I've spent the last 6 months in hell, a hell I built, the day I got that package from your lawyer. I lost my home, my family, and my wife, all in one day. Oh yeah, Valerie left me, the day the money dried up, the day she realized there was no inheritance, there was no house, there was just me, and the criminal complaint you filed. She said I was bad investment. She's in California now. I've been in therapy. I've been working, a real job, in a warehouse. It's hard, honest work. I'm starting to remember what it feels like. I'm not writing this to ask for forgiveness. I'm not writing to ask for money. I know what I did. I know it's unforgivable. I talked to Claire. She told me about the baby. She told me about the foundation, in Mom's name. That's when I knew what I had become, what I almost destroyed. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry, not for getting caught. I'm sorry for doing it. I got lost, Dad, and I don't know if I can ever find my way back. Don't write back. I don't expect it. Russell. I read the letter 3 times. I folded it. I put it in my pocket. I looked at the smoker. I thought about the boy I'd taught to ride a bike. I thought about the man who'd tried to destroy me. Were they the same person? I sat with that letter for a week. I talked to Claire. I talked to Mitchell. I even talked to Melanie. It's a trap, Melanie said. It's the first step in reconciliation. He's playing the long game. He wants back in. He sounds broken, Claire said. Maybe. Maybe he's really changed. He's my brother, Mitchell said. And he's a snake. Don't trust him, Dad. I listened to all of them, and then I went to my study. I took out a piece of my own letterhead. Russell, I wrote. I read your letter. I'm glad you're working. I'm glad you're in therapy. Your mother always said honest work and an honest ear were the cure for most things. You're wrong about one thing. What you did is not unforgivable, but it is enormous. It's a debt that can't be paid with a single letter. You say you're sorry. I believe you. You say you're lost. I believe that too. But I am not your compass. You have to find your own way back. This is what I will offer you. Not forgiveness. Not yet. Forgiveness is earned. I will offer you an opportunity. The $50,000 repayment clause in my will. It's not about the money, son. It's about the proof. It's about services rendered. You want to reconcile? You want to find your way back? Start there. Not with me. With the foundation. Start paying your debt. $1 at a time or 1,000. I don't care. Show me. Show Claire. Show Mitchell. Show yourself. Don't tell me you've changed. Show me. The door is not closed, Russell, but it's not open either, and you are no longer welcome to just walk through it. You have to earn the key. I sent the letter. I don't know if he'll write back. I don't know if he'll pay. And the truth is, I don't care. That's not my work. That's his. My work. My work is here. This morning, I woke up at 5 a.m. I'm 69 now. I made my coffee. I went out to the patio. The foundation helped its 20th client last week, an 80-year-old woman whose daughter had stolen her pension checks. We got her money back. We got her a new power of attorney. My granddaughter, little Matilda, was born in April. She's beautiful. Claire brings her over every month. She's got my eyes and her grandmother's smile. Mitchell and Sarah's wedding was in the backyard, right by the smoker. It was perfect. And Russell, I got a check in the mail last week. From his warehouse job. It was for $100. It was addressed to the Matilda Hayes Foundation. No note, no letter, just a payment. I don't know if he'll ever pay it all back. It doesn't matter. It's a start. I sat on my patio, in the house I built, the house I gave away, the house I saved. I drank my coffee. The smoke from the pit was rising, sweet and clear in the morning air. I was at peace. I was a builder, and my foundation was strong. If this story resonated with you, leave a like and consider subscribing. You can also drop any comment below, even just one word. Maybe tell me where you're watching from, or what time it is right now. Sometimes one word is enough to say you were here.